The Art of War in World History, From Antiquity to the Nuclear Age, edited by Gerard Chaliand. Published by University of California Press. 1994, copyright 1994. So, recently, I was playing Infidel, GMT, war game, Battles of the Crusades, and thought I would pull out Chaliand's The Art of War in World History. For me, definitely a not landmark, but a foundational text for myself. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it. One of those books like Makers of Modern Strategy that you can come back to again and again. So, page 410, Ibn Hudal al-Andalusi, 14th century. Ibn Hudal al-Andalusi, a contemporary of Ibn Khaldun's, who lived at the court of the Nasrid dynasty in Granada, originally wrote his Kitab Tufat al-Anfus wa Shiar Sukan al-Andalus, a treatise on the jihad or holy war at the request of Sultan Muhammad V. He subsequently revised it and prepared an abridged version at the request of the latter's grandson, Muhammad VII, at a time when the Moorish kingdom was weakening in the face of the Christian advance. So, this is from Ibn Hudal Andalusi, from the 14th century. Principles of War. The pillar of all science, the bond that strengthens every link, is the leader versed in the art of governing, ready to assume the burden of command. Therefore, anyone with command of troops must be well up in this specialty, courageous when he is advancing, careful in the precautions he takes, sincere in his intentions, vigilant in all his movements, penetrating in his insights, indulgent to his subordinates. If these qualities are combined in the commander of troops, they will enable his mind to summon up precisely those rules and stratagems that will be decisive for victory when they are put into effect against the enemy. The main qualities of command are gentleness without weakness, severity without harshness. Authority comes from a wise admiration. Prefer fear to blind hope. Refrain from haste and you will avoid mistakes. Going into battle with their head down makes men bold. He who fears his enemy thereby fortifies the army of his soul. Defeat softens resolve. Ruses are more effective than action. A decision taken after careful consideration is better than an abrupt gesture. Put out the opposite of what you have decided and make it look as if you are going to do something different. Put a quick end to the machinations of enemy spies. Extreme endurance opens the door to victory. Avoid consulting the ignorant or anyone likely to be influenced by personal ambition or by fear. Leave the enemy be until he moves on you. Watch out for the opportunity to the point where you might be accused of slowness. Procrastination when action is possible is a setback. Being precipitate when you lack strength leads to collapse. The slightest failing destroys the power of an army. Win over hearts by telling them what they want to hear. And then there's an inserted question mark. I think Chaliand inserts a question mark, which is understandable. This next one has an inserted question mark as well. Be swifter to move on the enemy when he is advancing toward you. Okay, put men about whom you have suspicions in front. Beware of the secret enemy. Be watchful when you leave a post. Do not let the danger that you have just escaped from make you shy of confronting another similar one. Beware the wiles of spies. Obey the great man, and the little man will obey you. Beware of the woman who takes refuge under your protection. Act as if all the people in your camp were your adversaries. Wow. If you do the opposite of what pleases you, you will be getting it right. Be conciliatory after things get too messy. Before things get too messy. Be conciliatory before things get too messy. Put the bravest men in front of you. Do not forget to set up an ambush at the moment of conflict. Be on your guard against one set by the enemy in the same circumstances. Do not be content with taking from the enemy as much as you give him. Do not underestimate your enemy, or you will lower your guard. Do not be contemptuous of your auxiliaries, or you will become an easy prey for your enemies. If you show yourself greedy to your brothers, you are proportionately generous to your enemies. Do not let defeated troops creep into your camp in secret. Do not lead into battle men who do not fear you, have nothing to hope for from you, or do not need you. Do not lead the pursuit yourself when you are on the track of the defeated. Avoid turning aside to pillage before having fully dealt with the enemy. Check your battle order when you make contact with the enemy. Do not neglect your battle order at the moment of meeting. Shifts in that order are one of the greatest causes of weakness. Modify the conditions of Aman, and inserted, the translation is giving mercy. So Aman is giving mercy. So modify the conditions of Aman when you seize a propitious opportunity against your opponent. Fear discord among your companions. Seek to win over the enemy leaders. Interesting. When you launch an attack, avoid being backed up against a river. Yeah. When you are at grips with the enemy, deem him capable of winning and exploiting your defeat, and then all you'll have to do is gather up the booty. Anyone escorting hostages is not safe. Put off combat as long as possible. The only expense is in men, but if you cannot avoid it, ensure it happens at the end of the day. Temporization is excellent, except when opportunity offers itself. Often a stratagem is more effective than courage. Often a word has undone an army. Victory accompanies mature reflection. Deliberation before destruction. Assessment rather than illusion. Mistrust is the wisest of your defenders and the most dependable of your troops, with the help of the Almighty. Reflection on the possible consequences of an adventure before coming to grips in a sign of unease. In combat, ignorance of the possible consequences gives more resolution than reasoning. Reflection stiffens decision-making before battle, but disturbs it during battle. So these are a bunch of very short principles, very pithy, some interesting, some certainly completely in line with Sun Tzu or others like him, but interesting. And I felt like dipping back into this historical, I guess, writings from generally the time and the setting of the Crusades, after having taken another look at Infidel and the Battle of Haran.